Hello again. Welcome back to 9 Years in China with Teacher Kenny. Hope you're doing okay. Today you're going to talk about, I found something I never expected to see halfway across the world. You know, I'd always go, we'd go into the supermarkets and you're always amazed at all the things you'd see that you buy really fresh, alive, still breathing, crawfish and catfish and things. But the Asian catfish, everything there is very Asian, very Chinese. But I noticed in the supermarkets right away, the one thing that they had, I could not believe they had largemouth bass. How they got bass into China, I didn't know it existed. I knew Japan imported them, and they have tournaments. They have bass tournaments in Japan. But in China, I never ever expected to see largemouth bass in China. And they're a really, really popular food fish, a delicacy kind of. And that's why it is so cool. And I remember taking pictures, and I was sending pictures of bass, to my friends in America, because we all bass fish, especially in Arkansas, where I'm from. And I said, well, that's cool. One day we got to buy some, But when I was in Fuyang, we fished a little, and my girlfriend liked to fish with me. We could go out right by my apartment in Fuyang and catch lots of little fish. And she would eat them. I wouldn't. I don't want anything that's got bones. And I would tell her when we go to the supermarket about bass, and I said, we have a special way we fillet them. I said, we make steaks with no bone. She said, well, that sounds good. But it wasn't until we got to Huainan, my second city, that me and her, married my girlfriend, you've heard me talk about, we were walking around and we found a tackle store. And we went into this tackle store, bait shop, and they had a fillet knife. Now I'm going. So I bought the fillet knife, and I told Mary, as soon as we find some bass again, we'll get some of those bass, and I'll show you how we clean and fry them up. And it took a few weeks, and we got in by a really, really big food market. It had everything, vegetables and pork and beef and chicken and all that. So we went over to where the fish were, and sure enough, they had these big, gigantic aquariums full of bass. And the whole time I was in China, I thought, well, the ones you see in the market are top out about 2 pounds. And I told Mary, I said, they can get big old mouths. But I'd never seen one in China. But we got some bass, and what they do, they net that bass, and they knock it in the head trying to kill it and put it in a bag. And I told them we needed the ones they had were kind of small. I said, give me about 5 of them, and it wasn't really expensive, but here we are. We had this big plastic bag full of bass, and we get on the bus to go home. And that was pretty cute, on the bus ride home, here I am. I got this bag full of bass, because everything the foreigner does is looked at very, very carefully. So we get home, and, I show Mary, we had bought some corn flour. I never could find corn meal in China. But we got some corn flour, and we mixed it with some regular flour and salt and pepper and whatnot. But I showed her exactly how to fillet the fish. And in China, remember, they cook the fish whole, head and everything. And you just pick it apart with your chopsticks. It might be in a soup or something like that. And fried fish, the classic American, fried fish, they really don't do much of that. Just on a rare occasion, most of the fish is put into some kind of a soup, some kind of a pretty dinner surrounded by, other goodies. But all I wanted, the Soul Southern boy, I just wanted fried bass. I wanted some French fries, which we cut up our potatoes and made, homemade French fries. it was a good dinner, and we'd done that many times, over the time that me and her were together, especially in China. She loved to eat fish, but still, seeing a largemouth bass in China, I inquired a little bit about that. I said, "Where did you get these? Where did these come from?" And the first thing that came out of their mouths was they grew them in ponds. A lot of the fish in China are grown in ponds. Even the little fish like we might catch out in the river or whatever, they grow them in ponds. They net them and they cart them off to market and make their money. So they were doing bass the same way, bass and catfish and whatnot. But the more I thought about it, I said, I bet those things are loose in the rivers and lakes of China also. Nothing can stay in a pond. And I've been to some of those ponds where they raise those fish. Never really did any good. But I've been to them, and you had to pay. You had to pay, especially the foreigner. You had to pay to fish. But just the last thing I ever expected to see in China, just seeing a largemouth bass. Something very, very American to me. So anyhow, there's a little story and a surprise. The things you can find if you look. But we'll talk to you soon, okay? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Go bass fishing today. All right?